Hey everyone, welcome back to our new video on the Croc 1 Rapid Revisions, and today we are going to discuss about the path morphology. So let's start from the embolism. So what is the embolism? So embolism, it simply means we have some obstruction. So it can be air embolism. So air embolism means it can be IV due to IV injections. So remember AIV, IV injections. Then it can be gas embolism. So gas embolism, where we find the gas, we can find the gas in the airplane, inside the aeroplane. Then we can diverse in the sea, we find the nitrogen gas that is toxic for the human beings. So gas embolisms, aeroplane, and the diverse in the sea. Now remember the fat embolism. So F for fat and F for, there is a fracture of the bone. So F for fat and F for fracture of the bone. And remember, we can also say it is adipose embolism. So it can also say adipose embolisms. Now next is our thrombophlebitis. So thrombophlebitis, it can lead to the thromboembolism. So thrombophlebitis, it can lead to thromboembolism. Now remember the pulmonary artery embolisms. The pulmonary artery embolism most common and the fatal forms of the venous thromboembolisms. Why? Because it's due to the obstruction of the pulmonary artery. Now if there is next is amniotic fluid embolism. So amniotic fluid embolism means simply means there is some newborn will be there and the placenta will be there. So newborn or the placenta, it leads to the amniotic fluid embolisms. Okay, this is the important part. And the next we will go for the tumor. So tumor, it can be the benign tumor or the malignant tumor. Benign tumor, mostly they end with the oma. They end with oma. So there can be benign tumor and it can be malignant tumor. So benign and the malignant, benign and the malignant tumor. So benign tumor, remember, these are the slow growing tumor. These are the slow growing. These are the slow growing. And malignant, these are the fast growing. They have high malignancy, so they are fast growing. They are well circumscribed, means they can be easily identified, they can be easily distinct, they have the clear border. Clear border means they have the border, so we can identify that it's a benign tumor. But they are poorly circumscribed, we cannot determine it simply. These are not distinct because they have unclear border, they have unclear border. And these are the mobile, they can move, and but they fix to the surrounding tissue. Remember, for the malignant, they shows the metastasis. So what is the meaning of metastasis? Metastasis, it simply means like they will progress from one location to the another location. So that is the malignancy, or that is the property of metastasis shown by the malignant tumor. Now benign tumor, they do not show metastasis. If they find, if they originate in the breast region, then they will be in the breast region, they will not progress to another side. They can progress to the lymph nodes, but they will not metastasize to another tissue or another organs. Now remember the epithelium. So we have the different tumors like epithelium, mesenchyme, lymphocytes, and the melanocytes. So if you talk about the epithelium, so there is a benign tumor. So what is that? That is adenoma and papilloma. So adenoma, in simple term, it means adenoma. So adeno, what does it mean by adeno? Adeno means there is a glands. So glands, and oma is the benign tumor. So glandular tumor is our adenoma. And what is the malignant form of this? That is adenocarcinoma. That is adenocarcinoma. Next is papilloma. Papilloma means there is something papillary surface will be there. Papillary surface will be there, and if this papillary surface having some progressions and it can show metastasis, then it will lead to the papillary carcinoma. So remember, for the epithelium, carcinoma, it means malignant tumor of epithelial tissue. Malignant tumor of epithelial tissue is carcinoma. Then remember mesenchyme, it simply means connective tissue. So in the connective tissue, we can have bones, cartilage, soft tissue, we can have the blood. Okay, so remember the mesenchyme. Mesenchyme, we have lipoma and liposarcoma. So lipoma is what? It is a soft tumor or the soft tissue tumor of the lipids. And sarcoma, remember, we have the fish meat appearance. Sarcoma, what we have? Fish meat appearance. So it can be fibrosarcoma, it can be liposarcoma, or it can be fibroma. Okay, so when there will be involvement of the fibrous tissue, and if there is a involvement of the lipocytes or the lipo or the lipids, then it will lead to the lipoma or the liposarcoma. Lymphocytes, the benign tumor of the lymphocyte does not exist. So benign tumor, it does not exist. Now what about the lymphoma? So they have the lymphoma and the leukemia. So lymphoma and the leukemia. So lymphoma and leukemia is the malignant tumor of what? Of lymphocytes, lymphocytes what we have? B lymphocytes and the T lymphocyte. Lymphoma and the leukemia will study in the pathophysiology, okay. It will be the next. Then melanocyte we have you need to remember for the melanocyte benign tumor, because they don't have like different name, unique name, that is Nevus or the mole is the benign tumor of the melanocytes. And if you talk about the malignant, so it is melanoma. If it is melanoma, so melanoma means due to melanin pigment, more melanin pigment, so melanin tumor. It occurs in the retina, DOPA positive or stain. What stain we use for the melanoma is DOPA positive stain. What about the pulse stain? That will be the negative pulse stain for melanoma. Then there is a common screening method for some tumors. So remember, for the common screening method, pap smear and prostate specific antigens. Prostate specific antigen and the pap smear. Pap smear, what they do? They detect the cervical dysplasia. Or the CIN, or we can say simply cervical cancer. Then what about the prostate specific antigens? It detects the prostate carcinoma. Before it spread. So it detects the prostate carcinoma before it spread. That is screening by prostate specific antigens. So when the in the old age, so what happens? Prostate undergo the hyperplasia and the hypertrophy, and it will lead to the benign prostatic hyperplasia. So for that we use screening method, that is prostate specific antigens. So here the some carcinogenic agents we can see. So what about the carcinogenic agent? Agents that cause cancer. Okay, so these are asbestos, nitrosamine, polycyclic aromatic compounds. We have the loads of carcinogenic agents, but we are discussing only 3 here. So remember, the asbestos, it's cause the lung carcinoma and mesothelioma. This also the type of the lung cancer. So remember, the lung carcinoma or the mesothelioma. So if you have talk about the asbestosis, so asbestosis cause much more lung carcinoma than mesothelioma. Okay. Then about the nitrosamines. So nitrosamines, always remember the Japanese food. Remember the keyword for the nitrosamines, Japanese food. The Japanese food, there is a more amount of the nitrosamines present that will lead to the stomach carcinoma. And as I already told, it's present in the smoked pork or fermented food. It's present in the smoked pork or the fermented food. Then next, a polycyclic aromatic compound. What does it mean, polycyclic aromatic compound? Means if you have more benzene, aromatic, it's like if you have benzene rings. So this is the benzene rings. So if you have more polycyclic or more cycles of the benzene rings or aromatic compound, then it will be the highly carcinogenic agent. So if we have the 2 or 3, so if which will be more highly carcinogenic? 3 aromatic compound will be highly carcinogenic. Then next is our radiations. Okay, before that we have the one way, that's fish meat appearance. I already told, that is sarcoma. So it can be fibrosarcoma and it can be liposarcoma. Like we find the fish or fish like appearance. Okay. The next we have radiation. So remember, for the radiation we have ionizing radiations and non-ionizing radiations. So ionizing radiations, what they do? They cause acute myeloid leukemia, chronic myeloid leukemia, and papillary carcinoma of the thyroid. So but what they generate? They generate the hydroxyl free radicals. Non-ionizing radiations, they cause the xeroderma pigmentosum. So we already discussed about the xeroderma pigmentosum, because xeroderma pigmentosum, where we studied in the biochemistry or the biochemistry, or maybe mad bio. So xeroderma pigmentosum due to endonuclease deficiency or problem in the endonuclease. What the endonuclease do? They help in the DNA repair or regeneration of the DNA. So remember the ionizing radiations, they generate the hydroxy free radicals. Remember the Chernobyl. Okay, so ionizing radiation, Chernobyl. One question is there for the base. Then what about the stage of the cancer? So there is a three stage of the cancer mainly. So first we have the tumor formation. So tumor means उसको रसोली बोलते हैं ना, रसोली हिंदी में. So that is the stage of the cancer. So there are three stages of the cancer. What three stages? First we have the T. So T means there is a formation of the tumor. Size and depth of invasion. Size and the depth of invasions. Then second we have N. N means they spread to the regional lymph nodes. TNM. TNM means there is spread to the regional lymph nodes. That is second most important prognostic factor. Second most important prognostic factor. Third, we have the metastasis. If it will be the malignant, it will lead to the metastasis. That is the single most important prognostic factor. So remember the tumor. Then we have the progressions or the spread to the regional lymph nodes. I told already that benign tumor. Remember the benign tumor. This one. Benign tumor. It metastasis to what? Which lymph node? That is axillary and parasternal lymph nodes. So this is the questions from the base, ministry, everywhere. Benign tumor, no sorry, breast tumor, not benign tumor. So that is the breast tumor. So breast tumor, it will lead to the axillary and parasternal lymph nodes. It spread to the axillary and the parasternal lymph nodes. Next is the Krukenberg tumor or the mucinous carcinoma. In the mucinous carcinoma Krukenberg tumor, we see the signet cell ring appearance, and it metastasis from what? Stomach to the ovary. It's metastasis from the stomach to the ovary. So this is the signet cell ring appearance seen in Krukenberg tumor or the mucinous carcinoma. Krukenberg tumor or the mucinous carcinoma to see signet cell ring appearance. The next we have one more tumor, the medulloblastoma. So medulloblastoma is what? Medulloblastoma. Medulloblastoma, it is a benign tumor of the vermis of the cerebellum. So cerebellum, we have the two lobes, left cerebral hemisphere, cerebellar hemisphere, and right cerebellar hemisphere, and they connected by left, right, and they connected by our vermis. And in the vermis, if there is a tumor will forms, that is leads to the medulloblastoma. Remember, this is the exceptions. This is a benign tumor. It is not malignant tumor. It is a benign tumor. Don't confuse with blastoma. So it is a benign tumor. Then basileoma. Basileoma means there is a basal epidermal layer tumor, and leukoplakia. So this is the dentistry questions mainly. Leukoplakia. What is the leukoplakia? That is a cancer of the tongue. Cancer of the tongue. Then we discuss about the osteosarcoma. So if we have the even due to the tuberculosis, so if you have the secondary tuberculosis, then it can lead to the Port's disease we discuss, and it can lead to the tuberculoma, and it also can lead to the bone disease. So bone, what we have? Port's disease. But if you have the tumor in the bones, that is Ewing osteosarcoma, bone tumor, and it gives the onion peel appearance. When we do the X-ray, in the X-ray it shows the onion peel appearance. So who shows the onion peel appearance? That is Ewing osteosarcoma. Ewing osteosarcoma. One more tumor is in the base, that is the desmoid tumor. So remember the desmoid tumor. Just remember the one line for all these. Desmoid tumor means connective tissue with the prevailing collagen fibers. So this is the line from the base only. So connective tissue with the prevailing collagen fiber, that is our desmoid tumor. So connective tissue with the prevailing collagen fiber, that is desmoid tumor. What the keyword they will give is atypical osteoblasts and numerous pathological mitotic figures. So this is the numerous pathological mitotic figures and atypical osteoblast. Okay, so remember the numerous pathological mitotic figure, it's showing malignancy. It shows the malignant. If there is a numerous like mitotic means there is a division will occur, so means division, more division, more cell will be affected. Then next topic we have hemostasis. So hemostasis, it simply means to maintain our body environment. I have a complete video, so you can check it there. Hemostasis. So hemostasis, there are two types. It can be primary hemostasis and it can be secondary hemostasis. So in the case of primary hemostasis, there is a transient vasoconstriction of the damaged vessels. We know what is the cause of the edema in case of type 1 hypersensitivity. What is the cause of edema in case of type 1 hypersensitivity? That is increased vascular permeability. Increased vascular permeability is the cause of edema. It is the cause of edema in case of what? In case of type 1 hypersensitivity. We will discuss every edema like oncotic pressure, due to oncotic pressure, due to osmotic pressure, to hydrostatic pressure in the pathophysiology. Now let's move to our topic, hemostasis. So primary hemostasis. So primary hemostasis, there is a 4 steps mainly. So in the first step, there is a transient vasoconstriction of the damaged vessels. So damaged vessels, they will constrict. Now the platelets will come and they will adhesion to the disrupted vessel surface. Now the platelet degranulation and the platelet aggregations. Fibrinogens, remember that used as the linking molecules formation of the platelet plugs. So remember for the primary hemostasis, you don't need to remember everything here. So remember for the primary hemostasis that it leads to the formation of the platelet plugs, that is the weak formation. So it can lead to the, if you have the problem in the primary hemostasis, it can lead to the disorders. So what disorders we can have? That we have immune thrombocytic purpura. Immunothrombocytic purpura. What is it? It is autoimmune production of immunoglobulin G against the platelet antigens. And remember that is the most common cause of thrombocytopenia in the children and adults. Then secondary hemostasis. So secondary hemostasis means it stabilizes the, so in the primary hemostasis with there is a formation of the weak platelet plugs. So in the secondary hemostasis, it stabilizes the weak platelet plugs via the coagulation cascade. So coagulation cascade is what? It is the chain in which one enzymes, the product act as a enzymes and they will forms a chain. So I like example for here we have the coagulation cascade. So remember a coagulation cascade, it generate the thrombins. So thrombin is what? It prevent the hemorrhage. Thrombin, it prevent hemorrhage. So if we have deficiency of the thrombin, so it will lead to the hemorrhage. So both like from the both side we can do, like thrombin, it prevent the hemorrhage. Now what the thrombin do? Thrombin comes and it acts on the fibrinogen. So fibrinogen is our blood protein. Fibrinogen is our blood protein. So fibrinogen, it will break into the fibrin with the help of thrombin. With the help of thrombin. Now the fibrin will cross link and it will yield a stable platelet fibrin thrombus. This is how the clot formation will occur. This is how the clot formation will occur, and that's why the thrombin will prevent the hemorrhage. Okay, so this is also the question. So like who, if you have the deficiency of the thrombins, so who can lead to the hemorrhage? So that is due to thrombin deficiency. Then hemarthrosis, the deep tissue bleeding into the muscles and the joint is hemarthrosis. What is hemarthrosis? Deep tissue bleeding into the muscles and the joints. Now remember for the hemophilia. So hemophilia, you don't need to remember anything, or no, you need to remember anything, but you don't need to remember everything. So remember for the hemophilia A. I hope you everyone know about the clotting factor. If not, that we will discuss in physiology. Then hemophilia. So hemophilia A, remember genetic factor 8 deficiency. Genetic factor 8 deficiency, and it is example of X-linked recessive. It is example of X-linked recessive, and X-linked recessive we know that is RBI. So it affects most predominantly. If recessive disorder, X-linked recessive means it affects the mainly the boys, RB, And what about the X-linked dominant? It affected mainly the girls. Now hemophilia B. So hemophilia B, remember we have genetic factor 9 deficiency. Gen factor 9 deficiency. Hemophilia C, we have 11 deficiency. तो चलती है क्या 8 से 11, चलती है क्या 8 से 11. So 8 to 11, in which 10 is missing. So 10, what we have? So remember the movie, we have movie from 8 to 11, but between them we have the interval of 1 hours, that is 10. So remember 8 9 11, 8 9 11 or 8 9 11. 8 9 11 means hemophilia A, 9 means hemophilia B, 11 means hemophilia C. Okay, so 8 9 11s, remember we have the interval between like 10. So remember like that, we have the interval of the 1 hour. So 1 hour miss 1 hour. So 8 9 11 ABC. Okay, 8 9 11 ABC, 8 9 11 ABC. Then next disease about the secondary hemostasis is von Willebrand disease. Von Willebrand disease means VWF. So von Willebrand disease, VWF means we have the gene. Which gene? VWF gene will be deficient. And the most common inherited coagulation disorder, which is the most common inherited coagulation disorder, that is von Willebrand disease. And what the treatment we use for the von Willebrand disease, that is the desmopressins or ADH analogs. Then remember the vitamin K deficiency. Vitamin K deficiency we already discussed in the biochemistry. So you can check it there. Biochemistry rapid revision. So that's about the secondary hemostasis. So what the other disorders it can, like heparin induced thrombocytopenia. We know that heparin is our anticoagulant. And remember that it causes the thrombocytopenia. So arise due to the heparin therapy. And what they will what we will do for the treatment, we will remove the heparin or we will stop the heparin and we can give the acarbose. Okay, the next is you have next drugs disease we have, that is disseminated intravascular coagulation. So this is the disease, means DSIC. Okay, disseminated intravascular coagulation. It is due to the pathological activation of the coagulation cascade. Normally the coagulation cascade that's why I discussed about the coagulation cascade, that is a physiological condition, but here that is a pathological activation will be there. So pathological activation of the coagulation cascade. Now remember the widespread microthrombi. So it will, when we have the coagulation cascade, there is a formation of the thrombus. So widespread microthrombi, it can lead to the ischemia and the infarction. We know the cause for the disseminated intravascular coagulation. What they can cause, like what can be the cause for the disseminated intravascular coagulation? That is our tissue thromboplastin, snake bite. Due to the snake bite, the venom contains, and venoms they inhibit the coagulation cascade. Then pregnancy and the abortion, it can also lead to disseminated intravascular coagulation. And remember, for the abortion, it can also lead to the septicemia. So there is a one question there, so which can lead to the septicemia. So pregnancy and abortion, it will lead to the septicemia. Then remember the sepsis. Sepsis can also cause disseminated intravascular coagulations. Mainly due to E. coli and Neisseria meningitis. Then adenocarcinoma. Now adenocarcinoma, remember the mucin. There is a mucin formation. Mucin means it's a like formation of the like type of the mucus. Okay, that's formed by the glands, mucus gland. So adenocarcinoma, in the there is a mucin that activates the coagulation cascade. And then acute promyelocytic leukemia is the primary granules that activate the coagulation cascades. So if there will be the pathological coagulation cascade activated, so it will lead to the disseminated intravascular coagulation. Remember the two things here: decrease lab, if we check the lab diagnostics, so we will find there will be the decreased fibrinogen and the decreased platelets. These are also the keywords for your exams. So remember, if you find the questions decreased fibrinogen and decreased platelets, then close your eyes and go for no. Before that, you can also find there in the question elevated D dimer. So if you find elevated D dimers, so that is the best screening method test for the DIC. So this is the best test for the DIC. Who is the best screening test for the DIC? That is elevated D dimer. So this is the best screening test for the DIC. Now what is the thrombosis? What is the thrombosis? Thrombosis what? Thrombosis is like pathological formation of intravascular blood clot thrombus, and it will lead to the atherosclerosis, like stone like density. Okay, intravascular thrombus formation, that is the thrombosis. It can occur in the artery or the veins. The most common is the deep vein, DVT of the legs. That's why in the some question they are giving the deep vein of the legs, deep vein of the legs, deep vein of the legs. So that can lead to the thrombosis. Don't miss the last part, because that's so important part, and we'll discuss every like confusions from in the path morphology. So please going and please watching. So next is our gross pathological features of the alcoholic liver. Gross pathological features of alcoholic liver. So gross pathological alcoholic livers, we find the soft yellow or the greasy sometimes. So if we have some things like alcoholic livers, or we have the liver cirrhosis, then what type of the liver we will find? We will find the soft yellow and greasy type of the liver. And next is our steatosis. So what is the steatosis? Steatosis, it simply means fatty changes in the liver. It is steatosis. It can be reversible or reversible. Yes, it is a reversible stage. It can be reversed. There is a fatty changes in the liver. It is our steatosis, and it is the reversible stage. Now next is our degeneration. So degeneration, remember, there is a fatty and adipose degeneration. That can be hyaline degeneration. Okay, so remember these two. This is important. So fatty or adipose degeneration, when it will be? So if in the question they will give you something like fat droplets found in the myocardial sarcoplasm, I directly came to the questions like fatty or adipose degeneration, when it will be? When in the question they will give you something like fat droplets found in the myocardial sarcoplasm, that will be the fatty and adipose degeneration. Fatty and the adipose degeneration. The next is what? With the Sudan 3 gives yellow red color. So remember, the Sudan 3 is for the fat. Sudan 3 or the Sudan black. Sudan 3 or the Sudan black. So this, it is the stain for fat or lipids. They will make it so simple if they will give you stain in the questions. So if they will give you stain in the question, Sudan 3 or something, then just go for fatty and adipose degeneration. Then next is hyaline degeneration. Hyaline degeneration, there is a homogeneous glassy appearance. If you find something homogeneous glassy appearance, then it what is that? Homogeneous glassy appearance. This is the hyaline. Homogeneous glassy appearance, it means hyaline will be there. It may occur in the fibrous tissue, in the scars, and some tumor due to deposition of the glycoprotein. And remember the Jenker's degeneration, that is the type of the hyaline degeneration where you will find the glassy or waxy hyaline degeneration. Glassy or waxy hyaline degeneration, you find the Jenker's degeneration. This is a question from the ministry. Jenker's degeneration. Okay. The next we have intracellular accumulation. So intracellular accumulation, remember we have lipid accumulation, lipid or the fat accumulation. We already discussed if we have the lipid accumulation means lipid or fat. What does it means? Triglyceride. So triglyceride, it will lead to the fatty liver or the steatosis. Fatty liver or the steatosis. It is the reversible stage. Then if you have the deposition of the cholesterol, so cholesterol deposition, it can lead to xanthoma, it can lead to cholesterolosis, it can lead to atherosclerosis. Atherosclerosis, we will find something stone like density. Stone like density, it simply means atherosclerosis. Then it can be protein accumulation. Protein accumulation means Russell bodies. Protein accumulation means Russell body. Russell bodies you will find in the multiple myeloma. Multiple myeloma we already discussed in the plasma cells or in the biochemistry. Then hyaline accumulations. Remember the Mallory hyaline bodies. Mallory hyaline body intracellular accumulation been seen in alcoholic liver disease. Calcium accumulation. Calcium accumulation, we have the two type. This means D for dead. So dystrophic calcification and the metastatic calcification. So dystrophic calcification seen in the dead tissue and metastatic calcification seen in the living tissue. So remember, metastatic calcifications where the living tissue and which von Kosa reaction will be the positive. Which is the stain von Kosa positive. This is the special stain. This is the special stain for the metastatic calcification. When we do the von Kosa stain, that calcium will appear the black. So von Kosa stain. So remember the von Kosa stain for the metastatic calcification. So if you find the von Kosa stain is positive, then what will be the answer? That is metastatic calcification. Okay. Next is our pigments. Pigments can be exogenous, endogenous. Pigments can be exogenous, endogenous, exogenous, endogenous. Exogenous means tattoo. So remember what we have examples: anthracosis. Anthracosis, there is a deposition of carbon that will appear the black. So that is exogenous pigments. Remember for the endogenous, we will discuss endogenous: lipofuscin, hemosiderin, melanin. Lipofuscin, hemosiderin, melanin. Now I know that you all we are familiar with hemosiderin, melanin, but we have some confusions in the lipofuscins. Okay, so let's discuss one by one. Hemosiderin. Hemosiderin, it's deposit in the iron overload. Hemosiderin, siderin means transferrin. So remember hemosiderin, siderin means deposit in iron overload. Deposited in iron overload. It responsible for pigmentation in the varicose veins. And what color they have? They have golden brown, golden yellow or brown color. Golden yellow or the brown color. Pulse stain will be the positive, the best keyword for the hemosiderin. So pulse stain will be positive seen in the hemosiderin. Then hemosiderin, remember this is the keywords or the question I got. The patient suffering from mitral stenosis, and they will give in the question pass positive or pulse positive. Then lungs brown pigment, lungs and brown pigment. So they all the cases for the characterize the hemosiderin. Next we have melanin. So melanin means we have the black in the color. Melanin, we have the black in color. So melanin, which color? Black in the color. Precursor, who is the precursor for the melanin? Tyrosine. Who is the stain for the melanin? Dopa reaction positive. Pulse stain will be the negative for the melanin. Yes. Then lipofuscins. Lipofuscins, it's important because it also known as aging pigment or wear and tear pigments. What? It also known as aging pigment and wear and tear pigment. Wear and tear pigment. And it's formed by lipid peroxidation of the membrane. So who formed by the lipid peroxidation of the membrane? That is lipofuscin. Who is responsible for brown atrophy of the liver and the heart? That is lipofuscin. Who is responsible for brown atrophy of the liver and heart? Lipofuscin. Yes, great. Then we have hematine chloride. Hematine chloride, remember just one line, that it gives the coffee ground color. So who gives the coffee ground color from today? That is hematine chloride. Hematine chloride gives coffee ground color. Okay guys. Then next what we have, the morphological features of the fatty changes. So stain for the fat we already discussed, Sudan 3 or the Sudan black. So again we are discussing the fatty degeneration of the liver. It can be the fatty degeneration of the heart. So remember the fatty degeneration, what the fatty changes or the morphological features we see. So remember the fatty degeneration of the livers, we have the enlarged fatty liver, enlarged fatty liver enlarged fatty liver with rounded margin, enlarged fatty liver with rounded margin. Goose livers, if we have fatty degeneration we find the goose liver. So remember the keyword goose livers, and we already discussed which color, yellow color or greasy to the touch. And the fat infiltration will be the decreased glycogen. So remember, fatty degeneration of the liver, enlarged fatty liver with rounded margin, and the goose liver 2 is most important. If you want to discuss fat infiltration, decreased glycogen, you can revise. Then fatty degeneration of heart. Fatty degeneration of heart also known as the tiger heart. Fatty degeneration of heart also known as tiger heart. And also we find here the enlarged head, but we will find the stretched and the flabby chambers. If we find the stretch and the flabby chambers, it means there is a fatty degeneration of the heart. What the mucoid changes due to fat deposition, like mucin. So what is the mucin? So mucin, it is the glycoprotein. Glycoprotein is produced by the epithelial cells and the mucous glands. We already discussed in the adenocarcinoma that produce the mucins and then activate the coagulation cascade, leads to the disseminated intravascular coagulation. Then it produced by the epithelial cell and the mucous gland. Epithelial mucin, it associated with cathary inflammation, obstruction of the duct leading to mucocele in the oral cavity, mucin secreting tumor like ovary tumor, stomach tumor, large bowels. So epithelial mucin, it associated with the tumor, it associated with the obstruction of the duct, it associated with the cathary inflammation. So these are the intracellular accumulations. Now we go for the extracellular accumulation. So extracellular accumulation, remember we have the mesenchymal or stromal vasculation, so develop in the city as a result of metabolic disturbance. So forgot this. Then we have the mucoid swelling. If you want to remember this, just remember mucoid swelling. Mucoid swelling, we see the swelling of the collagen fibers, and there will see increased vascular permeability, and it can also be due to the superficial reversible disorganization of the connective tissue that leads to the mucoid swelling. What are the fibrinoid changes we will see in due to extracellular accumulation? Due to the fibrinoid changes, what the outcomes we will get, that is fibrinoid necrosis, sclerosis or the hyalinosis. So remember hyalinosis. What is the hyalinosis? Hyalinosis, it simply means it's taken from the Greek word of the hyalin. So hyalin in simple term, it simply means transparent or the glass-like. Transparent or the glass-like. Now alternation within the cell or in the what is the hyalinosis? Like changing within the cell or in the extracellular matrix, that is hyalinosis, and it gives homogeneous glassy pink appearance. Who gives homogeneous glassy pink appearance? That is hyalinosis. So remember the two things here, transparent and the glass like. Who is hyalin? Hyalin, what does it mean by hyalin in the Greek word? That is transparent, hyalin like. That is our hyalin. It's taken from the Greek word, and it gives homogeneous glassy pink appearance. So here the one crow question here. What the crow question here? Okay. So in the crow question they are saying there is a dense semi-transparent area. So in the question they are giving semi-transparent area. Semi-transparent means hyaline, resembling of hyaline cartilage. So resembling of hyaline cartilage, it simply means local hyalinosis. It simply means local hyalinosis. Then amyloidosis. Amyloidosis, remember, it's important topic. Remember, amyloidosis is the most important topic in the pathomorpho, because they can confuse you in the amyloidosis. So remember the stain for the amyloidosis, that is the Congo red stain. Which stain? Congo red stain. Now remember there is extracellular deposition of the fibrillar protein substance जिसको हम क्या बोलते हैं amyloid, that is known as amyloid. Then primary amyloidosis and it can be secondary amyloidosis. So if we find the primary amyloid, how we distinguish them? So primary amyloidosis, remember, it is severe in the heart, bowel, skin, skeletal muscles. And if we find like amyloid depositions or fibrillar proteinous deposition in the solid abdominal area, what are the solid abdominal visceral organs like liver, spleen, kidney, and the adrenal glands. If we find there is a deposition of the amyloid, then it will lead to the secondary amyloidosis. And why the secondary? Secondary means due to any other infections. So due to the complication of the chronic infection. So if they will in the option they will give you both secondary amyloidosis and the primary. So remember, for the secondary amyloidosis they will give you something like some disease or they will some history, and also they will give you something about the solid abdominal viscera. If they will not give you something in the about like history, like due to which infection it's happened and due to any other chronic infection they're not giving, then it simply means that is their case of primary amyloidosis. Then remember the liver. So liver, these are the dense and enlarged. In amyloidosis, the liver will becomes the dense and the enlarged. Then about the kidney. What about the kidney? Kidney, remember, it will look waxy and the translucent. Spleen, sago spleen and the Laurdacia spleen. So in the spleen we have the two pulp. White pulp will be affected and red pulp will be affected in the Laurdacia spleen, and sago spleen it affect the white pulp. So kidney, how kidney looks like? Kidney will waxy and the translucent. How the liver looks like? The dense and the enlarged. Okay. You need to remember this one about the amyloidosis. So again the one crow question is here. That is 8-year history of the tuberculosis metachromasia when stained with Congo reds. So that is the case of the secondary amyloidosis, because they are giving the 8 years. So they are giving 8-year history of the tuberculosis means chronic infection. And here there is one more keyword, there is metachromasia when stained with the Congo red. Congo red stain means for amyloidosis, and there is a chronic infection, so secondary amyloidosis. Second question, there is a dense and enlarged liver they are given. So and there is also given red brown colored tissue with enlarged follicles. So that is the case of again secondary amyloidosis or the amyloidosis. Then there is irreversible cellular injury. So remember, the irreversible cellular injury, it leads to the death. So that can be apoptosis or the necrosis. So for apoptosis, remember that it's a program and coordinated cell death. It's a program and the coordinated cell death, and it is the cell death. Necrosis is the cell death along with the degradation of the tissue of like if you have some hydrolytic enzymes secreted from the lysosomes, so it will lead to the cell death. So remember, the apoptosis, it can be physiological and it can be pathological, but necrosis is mainly due to the hypoxia or due to some toxins. In apoptosis, A4 absent. Apoptosis, remember, there is A4 absent. A4 absent, and absent it simply means there is a no inflammation or absent of inflammation. So no inflammatory reaction. Death of the single cell will be here. Cell shrinkage, chromatin condensation. Here the both chromatin and the nuclear condensation will be occur, or nuclear disruption will be occur. Now the inflammatory reaction present here, the death of the and cell swellings. Remember this, the nuclear disruption, it can be karyopyknosis, it can be karyoexis, and it can be karyolysis. So remember, for the karyopyknosis, it means nucleus shrinks and becomes the dense. Nucleus shrinks and becomes dense. Karyorrhexis means rupture of the nuclear membrane and fragmentation of the nucleus, and the fragmentation of the nucleus. Karyolysis, it means there is a nucleus will be dissolved. Okay. Then remember the necrosis. So necrosis, what we have, in necrosis we have liquefacive necrosis, and that is the example for that, that is gangrene. So gangrene can be dry gangrene or the wet gangrene. We already discussed the gas gangrene, that is caused by the, okay, write me in the chat box what is the cause of the gas gangrene. Then dry gangrene and the wet gangrene. So dry gangrene and the wet gangrene, remember, wet means there is a wetting something. So wet means there is a discharge, wet means discharge, and dry means sukha means there is a no discharge. And dry gangrene mainly seen in the limbs, and is mainly most common in the bowels. So in the wet gangrene, there is most common in the bowels. Remember one more keyword here, you will never find this in the question. Sometimes you will find clear border. If you find the clear border, that it will be the dry gangrenes. And remember the wet gangrene, wet gangrene means they don't have clear border, no clear border means wet gangrenes. And in the dry gangrene, the bacteria will fail to survive, but in the wet gangrene, there is a numerous bacteria will be present, due to because there is a discharge, and so there will be the numerous bacteria will be there. Okay, did you write? Okay, next is about two types of myocardial hypertrophy. Now there is in the ministry, there is a one question about the concentric and the eccentric hypertrophy. So remember the concentric means like, or there is a musculature of heart clearly enlarged, there is a no dilation of the chamber of the heart. So remember the concentric, chamber of heart are no dilated, no dilation of the chamber of the heart means concentric. And if there is a dilated heart chamber, it simply means there is, it is eccentric. Eccentric means dilation of the heart chamber. Eccentric, it leads to the hemodynamic disorder with cardiac insufficiency. So remember the eccentric. So eccentric myocardial hypertrophy, it will lead to the hemodynamic disorder with cardiac insufficiency. It is known as myogenic dilation. So it is known as myogenic dilation. What is that? Hemodynamic disorder with cardiac insufficiency, that will lead to the myogenic dilation, that is due to eccentric hypertrophy. Remember concentric, there is a no dilation of the chamber, and eccentric, there is a dilated heart chamber. Remember this is the important topic, the important points. Then metaplasia. Metaplasia, metaplasia, you know that what is the metaplasia? That is changing of one epithelium into the another epithelium. So remember for the metaplasia, that it leads to it, what is the cause of meta? It can be due to the smoking, that can be the cause of Barrett's esophagus and myositis ossificans. In myositis ossificans, what does happen? There is a changing of muscles, myocytic muscles to the bone. Fibrous tissue formation. So fibrous tissue formation, remember the fibroblast. Fibrous tissue formation, remember fibroblast. So fibroblast, they form the fibers and the intracellular substance. Fibrous tissue formation, remember fibroblast. What is the function of the fibroblast? They forms the fibers and the intracellular substance. So if you have the loss of the fibers, so which substance will be increased? That is intracellular substance. The question from the base, from fibers and the intracellular substance. Now something like fibroblast, that is myofibroblast. So if we have something in the fibroblast with having smooth muscle cell characteristics, so what we'll call it myofibroblast. Then one more term is here, cicatrization. Cicatrization is small formation of inactive looking scars. So inactive scars formation, that is cicatrization. Why it will be? Due to decrease active fibroblast. So whenever will be there is a decrease in the fibroblast, so it will lead to the cicatrization. Hemodynamic disorder or disturbance. So remember, if we have the disturbance in the volume of the circulating blood, so if there is a difference in the volume of the circulating, so if we have the volume of the circulating blood disturbance, so it can lead to the hyperemia, congestion, hemorrhage. So but if we have the circulatory disturbance or obstruction means रुकावट डालना, so it can lead to the thrombosis. ischemia, embolisms, and the infarction. Embolism we already studied that if you have the circulatory disturbance or the obstruction, and ischemia, thrombosis we already discussed, ischemia and the infarctions. Okay. Then we have arterial or active hyperemia. So remember, for the arterial active hyperemia, increased blood supply from the arterial system. So increased blood supply from the arterial systems. So affected tissue will be pink or look right red. Erythema will be there due to neurotic factors like stress and drivers. One more thing, add syncope. Add one more thing, syncope. Okay. That will also lead to the arterial or active hyperemia. The next we have venous congestion or the passive hyperemia. So venous congestion or the passive hyperemia, it simply means what? There is a dilation of the veins. So there is a dilation of the veins and capillaries due to impaired venous drainage. So dilation of the veins due and capillaries due to impaired venous drainage, that is our congestion or the passive hyperemia. Now next is what? Common congestions or systemic venous congestion. So common congestion and the systemic venous congestion, what does it mean? Left sided, and what is the cause of that? That is left sided and the right sided heart failure. Left sided and the right sided heart failure. Then pulmonary fibrosis and emphysema and cardiac decompensation. So this is the cause of common congestion or systemic venous congestion. If you find something, anything from the left, if there is a left-sided and right-sided heart failure or pulmonary fibrosis or the emphysema, so it will lead to the common congestion or the systemic venous congestion. Now one more thing, local congestion. So this is the question from the previous year, local congestion. So it will lead to due to the venous obstruction because of thrombosis, and that is a collateral blood circulation. Now there is a morphology of the congestion. Morphology of the congestion, it means lungs. So lungs, we have the brown induration of the lungs, spleen, cyanotic induration of the spleen, and the congestive splenomegaly. Liver will find the nutmeg liver. This is due to what? Due to venous congestion or the systemic congestion. So this is the important one. What we have important one, that is the lungs. So lungs, remember, brown induration of the lungs, spleen, cyanotic induration of the spleen, and congestive splenomegaly. Liver, nutmeg liver. Fatty changes in the hepatocyte, that is our nutmeg liver. Melena, what is the melena? So there is some term here, melena. What is the melena? Melena, deposition of the blood in the fecus. Then hemoptysis, there is a hemorrhage from the lungs, or we can simply say, what is that? Vomiting with blood. Metorrhagia, hemorrhage from the uterus. Now there is two infarctions. So that is ischemic infarction and hemorrhagic or red infarction. So remember, for that, ischemic or white infarction, and hemorrhagic and the red infarction. So remember, when we encountered with arterial occlusions and in solid tissue or the spleen, then it lead to the ischemial or white infarction. Hemorrhagic red infarction encountered with venous occlusions. So ischemic white infarction encountered with arterial occlusion and in the solid tissue. Hemorrhagic means encountered with the venous occlusion. One more there, that is ischemic stroke. So don't confuse about the ischemic strokes. Ischemic stroke, you find keywords like anhystic, flabby, and the grace focus, and due to cerebral atherosclerosis. What is the atherosclerosis? We already discussed, that is the stone-like density. Ischemic white infection encountered with arterial occlusion and in the solid tissue or the spleen, or hemorrhagic means red. So if you find something like if you will find something red blood Okay, so remember ischemic it due to arterial occlusions, and hemorrhagic infarction due to venous occlusions or venous obstruction. Okay, next is our inflammation type. I think I should stop here, and this part we will discuss in the next. Okay, so this is the different part we will discuss in the next part of the pathomorphology. So let's finish it here. So please consider the subscribe button, do like, share with all your friends, all your friends, and please watch the next part. Next part is like confusing parts. So if you have something confusion like what is the pus, what is the abscess, so we will discuss everything here, so you can just you take a review. Inflammation, we will study about the tuberculoma, what is the versus fibrocavernous, primary tuberculosis, secondary acute cavernous, fibrocavernous, acute gangrenous, acute phlegnous. So we will discuss everything in this condition. Okay, that's enough for review. Okay, bye bye, take care, all the best.